Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Benzine. I'm an account manager with SwipeClock, and I will be conducting the ApplicantStack Onboard webinar this afternoon. It is the top of the hour. As usual, we are going to wait another minute or two for those folks still signing in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the ApplicantStack Onboard webinar. As I mentioned just a minute ago, my name is Ellen Benzine. I'm an account manager with SwipeClock, and I will be discussing ApplicantStack Onboard with you this afternoon. Also with me is Carol Kennedy. She too is an account manager for SwipeClock, and Carol will be helping me out with any questions that you submit either throughout the webinar or once we have finished up discussing onboarding. To go ahead and get started, as you know, we are talking about applicant stack onboarding. We're going to discuss some best practices, but first, let's define onboarding, discuss the benefits of onboarding, and how applicant stack onboarding can help your organization. And as always, when researching these webinars, we come up with articles that we think would benefit our customers. And the one I found was actually from the Society of Human Resource Management, as you can see there, and it is entitled Complete Employee Onboarding Guide. So all of you on this webinar will receive the recording after the webinar, and it will include the PowerPoint presentation as well. If that document is of interest, obviously you'll be able to click on the link and review the document. We're going to end the webinar this afternoon with a question and answer session. As I just mentioned, feel free to input your questions at any time during the webinar. We'll give you some time after the webinar and product demonstration to input questions as well. Those questions can be on anything applicant stack, but if you could please make them generic enough to benefit all participants, that would be appreciated. Let's get started. And the topic you see here is what is onboarding? Onboarding is an umbrella term, and it is the process that encompasses everything that needs to be done or required when a new employee starts. So it can include completing paperwork such as the I-9, state and tax forms, and forms unique to your organization that you want your new hires to complete. Clearly, new hires need workstations, computer access, software access, possibly an office, maybe a telephone. All of those things are part of the onboarding process as well. And even though role expectations and job descriptions are defined or discussed or should be discussed during the recruiting process, you still want to communicate the role expectations to your new hire again. So again, they can get started on the right foot. And it's always important to make social introductions. You want to be able to work well with your team, and getting those introductions done early means that that can happen sooner. Benefits of onboarding. So a benefit of onboarding is that your new employee feels like a part of the team and realizes and knows the company culture and the company vision from the very beginning. A successful onboarding process helps new employees perform their duties faster, get assimilated into the organization quicker, get acclimated, and because of all of that, it promotes a happier new hire. We know recruiting and hiring can be expensive, and this is an Indeed statistic. Replacement costs come in at roughly 33% of an employee's salary if you need to rehire and retrain. That's a lot of money. And so while there are many reasons why people might leave jobs quickly, having a strong onboarding process can help you hold on to those new hires and reduce your costs. And again, when I was researching this, I found two really great examples of how Suffolk Construction and Bed Gear assimilate or promote having your new hires acclimated as soon as possible as part of their onboarding process. So Suffolk Construction, they're in Boston. They invite their new hires to participate in a variety of team building exercises, but one of them includes rowing the Charles River. What a better way to know your fellow employees than on a boat on a river with them. New employees at Bed Gear, they manufacture performance bedding. They take a walking tour of downtown Manhattan to visit other retailers. So again, during a walk through the city, you can really get to know your fellow employees very quickly. I just thought those were kind of fun facts of how those two companies include that in their onboarding process. Why ApplicantStack Onboarding rocks. So ApplicantStack Onboarding empowers you to easily manage your onboarding process. And again, there are a lot of components to onboarding, and ApplicantStack can help because it's integrated with ApplicantStack Recruit. So if you've got a candidate in ApplicantStack Recruit and they transition to onboarding, onboarding forms can be auto-populated. There is a decrease in data input going from Recruit to onboarding, which decreases potential error. ApplicantStack Onboarding provides e-signature capabilities, so you do not have to go outside ApplicantStack to procure another organization to provide that function. Forms within ApplicantStack Onboarding can be e-signed and dated by your new hires. As always, onboarding, in addition to Recruit, includes message templates that you can create. And the importance of message templates is that you know you are sending your new hires a consistent message when you're using a template that's already been reviewed and approved. ApplicantStack Onboarding allows you to upload your organization's unique documents. They do need to be in PDF format, but you upload them into your onboard library. So we provide the I-9, we provide state and federal tax forms, we provide the CC-305, VEVRA information if you track any of that. But again, you can upload your own unique forms and then assign those forms to your new hires to complete. ApplicantStack Onboarding features checklists, and that's the bundling of onboarding tasks. And I'm going to show that to you, but by definition, a checklist is typically created based on type of hire. So I'm in the state of North Carolina. If I hire an employee in North Carolina, I'm going to include the North Carolina State W-4 in my checklist. But if I hire somebody in the state of South Carolina, another checklist would be can be created, and the South Carolina W-4 would be included in that checklist. You may want to create a checklist for salaried paid employees and another one for hourly paid. So again, checklists are the bundling of onboard activities based on type of hire. ApplicantStack automatically creates an audit trail of all onboard activity. And I'm going to show you that too. But this is important for a couple of different reasons. One of which is if for some reason you're having an audit, you have all the information you need in onboarding via ApplicantStack. But the other is if an individual is out of the office another individual ApplicantStack user can access a new hire record and see exactly the status of that new hire. Finally, ApplicantStack presents a positive experience and employer brand. So circling back to that cost of rehiring and retraining of 33% of an employee's salary, you want to stay away from that. So ApplicantStack can help you with that employer brand and experience. And new hires can complete all of their onboarding tasks in the comfort of their home, not in your conference room day one. We are going to get to an onboarding demo here in a minute, but before doing so, let's just quickly discuss upcoming events. Excuse me. You'll see that we have an Ask Me Anything webinar scheduled for September 24th, and that is going to be on automating reference checks. We have a Recruit product webinar scheduled for August 15th, so feel free to go ahead and scan the QR codes. You also know that you can register for all AMAs and product webinars via the announcement section of your ApplicantStack homepage. Let's go ahead and get started with a demonstration of ApplicantStack onboarding. You should now be seeing the homepage of my demo account and the homepage of Recruit. And the reason why I'm starting with ApplicantStack Recruit is, as mentioned, Recruit and onboarding are integrated. So if you have both products, when you move your candidate to the hired stage in ApplicantStack Recruit, they transition to onboarding. So I'm going to click on the 3x3 square in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to move from recruiting to onboarding. So when done, you can see that the user interface is very similar in onboarding as it is in recruiting. This is my home page of onboarding. The announcement section is in the upper left-hand corner. And again, when we release any new forms, you'll get an announcement here. We evaluate all forms that might expire at the end of the calendar year, get any new forms created so that you can use those forms at the beginning of a new year. The activity summary in the middle, I can view all emails that have come to me from new hires. And the task summary on the far right will show me any tasks that have been assigned to me surrounding the onboarding process. If I move over to the far right, I can search my hires via this bubble here. And again, if you've got texting, you can text your new hires in onboarding just like you can your candidates in Recruit. Moving down a little bit, you'll see the pipeline summary of my ApplicantStack Onboard homepage. This is the default onboarding workflow. This can be modified to suit your particular onboarding process. One of the beauties of ApplicantStack is it's very configurable and can mirror your particular needs. So what you see here is I've got 3 hires that are in the new stage, and it's the new stage where your candidates transition to onboarding from Recruit. So I've got 3 in the new stage, I've got 3 hires in the paperwork stage, and you can move your hires through the stages of your onboarding workflow. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move from the ApplicantStack Onboard homepage to the library. And the library is very similar in onboarding as it is in Recruit. This is where you house everything that you use repetitively and throughout the onboarding process and assigning your tasks and forms to your new hires. So the first section you see are form templates. By definition, a form in ApplicantStack onboarding requires a signature. So you'll see all of these forms here, state tax forms, drug release form, etc. Again, we provide a variety of forms here, but you also have the ability to upload your forms. And the reason why I'm moving into the library right now is you need to create your messaging templates, your forms, your questionnaires prior to assigning these tasks to your new hires. So again, you can see the forms here in my library. If I move to the gray menu on the right and click on Add Form, this is how you would upload your forms. They do need to be in PDF format in order to upload. And best practices is to upload as much of a final form as you can into ApplicantStack Onboarding. And what I mean by that is having those fillable fields all prepared prior to upload, but I will show you editing tools as well. You would name your form, you can choose your file, and you can upload it. And again, that form will then reside here under the Form Templates section in your library. So what I did earlier today is I uploaded a test document. So if I click on that document, this is an old form. It's a W-4 from 2018, but I always use this because it's a good example. So I uploaded the document earlier today. You can see the fillable fields because they're highlighted in blue, but I need to add some fields. So I am going to move over to the gray menu on the right, click Edit Form, and these are the editing tools that I was discussing. So again, if you want to add fields, this is a signature field, so I'm going to pull over the signature field type. I always like to make it nice. And you can edit that field type if you want. Here's a date field that needs to be completed by the hire in this case. So you can pull over a date field, and once you save those changes, then your hires know that they too need to complete those fields. So you have the ability to edit uploaded fields in ApplicantStack Onboarding. Questionnaires in the onboard library, very similar to the functionality in ApplicantStack Recruit. A questionnaire is drawing more information from your new hires. So if you've got a uniform, it may be what color shirt do you want? What size do you want? An emergency contact questionnaire is an example of what you might ask a new hire. You can create as many questionnaires as you want and assign those once again to your new hires. During the PowerPoint presentation, we had talked about messaging templates. I highly suggest as a best practice to create messaging templates for the reasons I discussed a bit earlier. You are providing consistent communication to your new hires. And in addition, if somebody has reviewed those messages, the communication should be accurate and concise. A message that I do want to call out here is this welcome to the hiring process message. It's a message that does need to go to new hires so they know their onboard portal is available for them, ready for them to access. So if I just click on the welcome to the hiring process email, you'll notice that there are merge codes in here, and that allows for personalization, tailored communication, which is important. And then it also provides the URL to each new hire's onboarding portal, their password, and again, their username. So again, create as many message templates as you'd like. I've got texting in my account, so my message templates include both email and texting. Tasks in ApplicantStack Onboard are a to-do. So do you have an office administrator that actually creates a file on a new hire? Excuse me. Do you have an individual that orders uniforms in your organization? So not only can you assign onboarding tasks to new hires, you can assign them to other ApplicantStack users. So again, that onboarding process is as efficient as possible. I had mentioned checklists in the PowerPoint presentation. So when you have a new hire, you assign the I-9, you assign the federal W-4, you assign the state W-4, you assign a handbook acknowledgement form. Maybe you assign a background check authorization release, something along those lines. So you really don't want to have to assign these one by one in the new hire record. And again, a checklist is a bundling of those tasks. So you can assign a checklist, and an example here is my North Carolina checklist. Does include the I-9, the federal W-4, the state W-4, and a couple of other forms and tasks. You can create as many checklists as you want, and you assign the checklist, and the new hires record becomes populated with those items that make up the checklist. The final area within the onboarding library is what we call supporting documents. Supporting documents are informational only. The candidate doesn't have to, the new hire doesn't have to provide any additional information. They don't need to sign anything. They don't need to date anything. So you can see example of supporting documents here, drug and alcohol abuse policy, the employee handbook, how to fill out the I-9. Maybe it's a pay schedule, a holiday schedule. So you can upload supporting documents so that those documents are included in the new hires onboarding portal for review as well. Okay, so I am going to move back to the Hires tab. If I click on the Hires tab up top, this gives me a high-level overview of the status of my hires going through the onboarding process. You can see the name of the new hire, where they live, the number of tasks that have been assigned to the new hire, the number that have been completed, and the percentage of completion. If you have texting, you'll have this column with a column header being a P, which stands for phone, and the icon in that column. So you can text your new hires directly from onboarding from your account texting phone number. You can configure other information about your new hires, in this case, building location. So you can see Mitch Lyle is going to be housed in Building D, Maria Valdez, Building B, etc. The new hire record is the creation date is captured, as is the last modified date, automatically by ApplicantStack Onboarding, what stage your new hire is in, and who is that new hire's manager. So I had already transitioned David Jones from Recruit to onboarding earlier today. You can see my dates have been captured. So let's take a look at David Jones. I'm going to click on his name, and this is his new hire record. So as mentioned before, ApplicantStack Recruit and Onboarding are integrated products. All of this came over from ApplicantStack Recruit. And again, that means you're not re-entering data time and time again, and there's not that potential increase in error rate either. You'll see David Jones is in the new stage, Faith Bliga is his manager, and the job for which he's being hired is the accounting manager opportunity. So David's new hire record needs to be populated, but you'll notice it's already been populated with those supporting documents that I want all new hires to be able to review. So as mentioned, what you would typically do is add a form to a new hire record to start populating that record. Any form that's in your library, you could add it and submit, and David's record would then be populated with that form. However, we know that's not as efficient as adding a checklist. So if I click on Add Checklist from the gray menu on the right, and I now have the ability to choose what checklist I want to add to David's new hire record. I'm going to add the new hire checklist for the state of North Carolina. This is everything that makes up that checklist. And once I submit it, David's new hire record will be populated with all of those items that make up that checklist. So you can see the hire tasks are here. And if you recall, you can also assign onboarding tasks to other ApplicantStack users. So because David is being hired, Carol Kennedy is going to tour the office with David, and Faith Bliga is going to order a uniform for him. So again, onboarding is very comprehensive to not only acclimate and assimilate your new hires into the organization, but you can also include other ApplicantStack users in the onboarding process. Moving down David's record, there is a field for any sort of free-form notes. Because my demo account is automated a bit, David has already received an email from me. This email is configured to be sent when David, in this case, entered the new stage. And the email simply says, we're excited to have you join us. Please look for another email explaining our company onboarding process. Thank you, and welcome. Obviously, you can create these message templates the way you want to. So again, moving through David's record, there is the email that's already been triggered, and here is the beginning of that audit trail that I was discussing. This is automatically done by ApplicantStack. So if you're out of the office and somebody else has to step in and take over your new hire responsibilities, they can access this record and see it all. So now that I've populated David's onboarding record, David needs to know, right? David needs to know he can access his portal and start completing those documents. And if you recall, in the library, there was a message template that said, welcome to the onboarding process. So if I move to the gray menu on the right, and I click on Email Hire, I can pull that template in. The template will populate. Merge fields will be populated with the pertinent information. Again, it's that tailoring of information. You can include another questionnaire or form here if you want to, and you send this off. And then David gets an email, and he knows he can log into his portal and start completing those tasks that have been assigned to him. So once David gets that email, clicks on the link, inputs his username and password, he will see his portal. So again, I'm on the gray menu on the right, and I'm going to click on View Portal. This is what David would see, or something similar. So you can brand your onboarding portal a little bit. In this case, it's just a logo centered on the top of the onboarding portal. This message can be tailored to suit your particular needs as well. And then David can confirm his contact information, who his manager is. General information about the job can also be posted. Here are those supporting documents that I talked about. Drug and alcohol abuse policy, the handbook, the instructions, etc. Those are informational documents only. And then here are David's onboarding tasks. You can see all these tasks that were made, or were part of, I should say, of the North Carolina checklist. Although this last one I did do manually. So if I start task and pretend I'm David, look, information is auto-populated. So your new hire doesn't have to put in his or her name on every single form if it's required. It's very apparent what David in this case needs to complete because of those blue highlighted fields. Once he's done, he can submit the information. Note that your new hires will need to check this box, and they are agreeing to the fact that an e-signature is the same as a typed or handwritten signature. Again, we abide by all e-signature guidelines, and you don't have to have another application for e-signature functionality. The other thing I wanted to mention here is that the I-9 is a two-part form, as are most tax forms. So we know that the new hire needs to complete the I-9 and tax form, but the employer has a section that must be completed as well. You'll notice here, when I opened up the filters for user tasks, the I-9 and the W-4 federal withholding certificate are in a pending status. And that's because the new hire has not completed his or her section first. So the new hire portal is very intuitive, it's very easy to interpret, and notifications happen during this entire onboarding process. So not only can you access the new hire portal, you're getting notifications as activity takes place. Just to go through a couple other commands here on the gray menu, if you have a hire that's starting Monday and it's Friday afternoon at 4:30, you can manually add a hire. You can search all your hires based on criteria. We've already talked about emailing a hire. If you do have texting, you have the ability to mass text hires or text individually. Adding a task is a to-do. We talked about a checklist, individually adding forms. You can archive outdated forms if you want to. They're still in the system, but because they're outdated, they're in an archived library. If you want to add an attachment to a new hire record, you have the ability to do so. So for example, if your new hire emailed you something, you can add that attachment. Freeform note is add note. And again, as David completes all of his onboarding tasks, you'll be alerted via notification, and you'll also be alerted versus this, or when you view this high-level view of the status of your hires. All right. The final thing that I want to talk about in ApplicantStack onboarding is just a little bit of setup. And again, ApplicantStack is configurable to suit your needs. If I click on the picture, my picture in the upper right-hand corner, I am signed in as an administrator. This is how you would configure ApplicantStack onboarding. If I click on Setup and I move to Configure, this is where you can create those hire fields. Hire fields are information about your new hire. You also have the ability to configure your workflow stages. And again, those are the stages that I showed you on my homepage, my onboarding homepage, and you move your new hires through the stages of your onboarding workflow. Onboarding workflow, this is what I call the smarts behind the system. New stage, you can see these are my stages in onboarding and what happens behind them. And the reason why I'm showing you this is I manually added the checklist. I manually sent an email to David, but know that all of that can be automated. So in my case, when David entered the new stage in onboarding, an email was triggered, a text was triggered. When I moved him to the paperwork stage, an email was triggered. And when this is done, you can choose the appropriate checklist. Orientation, once again, an email and a text was triggered. So you do have the ability to very much automate ApplicantStack onboarding just as you can ApplicantStack Recruit. Again, moving across the tabs up top, emails and tasks are all system-wide. We talked about the library. The final tab up top is that Reports tab, and you can create and run a report on ApplicantStack onboard data. The report that I have here is just a very simple new hire report, but it can be exported to a CSV formatted file and then shared with individuals within your organization that might have interest in this data. If I click on Update Settings here from the gray menu on the right, this is where you can modify your portal instructions. So when your new hire accesses their onboarding portal, you can share whatever message you'd like to. And this is also where you can upload your onboarding logo. All right, that is the overview of ApplicantStack onboarding and best practices that we suggest when you are onboarding your new hires. But I think you'll agree with me if we go back to those points within the PowerPoint presentation that ApplicantStack Onboarding does empower you to promote a positive onboarding process and employer brand, and therefore your new hires, again, acclimate to your organization, your vision, your culture that much quicker. All right. Carol, have I missed anything?
Nope, that was great, Ellen. Thank you.
Okay. So what we're going to do is open it up to questions, and feel free to go ahead and input your questions now. We'll do our best to answer them, and those questions can be on ApplicantStack Recruit or onboarding.
All right, and those questions are coming in.
Good.
First question, Ellen. I think you touched on this or alluded to it, but is ApplicantStack onboarding a separate thing from recruitment? And yes, they are two separate systems. Recruit takes you up to the point of hire, so where you're posting your jobs, working with candidates, scheduling interviews, maybe even sending out an offer letter, and then onboard takes over at the point of hire, and that would be your new hire forms and new hire tasks. So they do work together, but they are separate systems. So that should take care of that question. If not, please let us know. Next question, Ellen. How do you autopilot the information to appear on a form like the I-9?
Oh,
And I'm guessing it means autofill.
all right. So I'm going to go into my onboarding library and let's see. There it is. They included this acronym up front. Takes me a minute to find the I-9. I was looking under the I's. Okay. So this is the I-9, and if I edit this form, I'm on the gray menu on the right. You have the ability to double click on any fillable field, and you'll notice this pop-up comes up. You have the ability to auto-fill that field. So in this case, that field is the name of the new hire. You can click on merge codes, and you'll see all of the merge codes available in order to populate fields. So again, your new hires don't need to input their name, time, and time again. Once you specify the merge code, then you can save that change, and those forms will be auto-populated. Did I answer that question, Carol?
Yep, thank you, Ellen.
Good.
Two related questions. How
Okay.
do you upload IDs? And before you answer that, follow-up question, how do you get a task added to upload IDs through the tasks?
Okay. So IDs could be passport, they could be a license, could be a social security card, something along those lines. So I'm going to move to the library. And the first thing you want to do is create a questionnaire. So if I click on questionnaire, I actually have an example here. It's entitled Social Security Card, License, and Passport. I'm going to click on the title. And this is just an example of a request. So upload a social security card, upload your license, please, passport, etc. And this is a file type answer. So when a candidate accesses this questionnaire, they can move or access wherever they have this information and upload it as a file. So that's the questionnaire. The questionnaire does need to be embedded into a task, which is one of the reason why there's a two-part question here, I think, Carol. So if I move to tasks, I have a task that's entitled the same thing. So if I click on the task, you'll see this is simply, and I'll edit this template, but what it is, it's simply include the questionnaire that we just looked at. Here's the task name and assign it to the hire. So let me pull this all together for you. If I click on hires and I click on David Jones, that's the individual with whom we've been working, and I come over to the gray menu on the right, there is an option for Add Task. So if I click on that, I want to choose the template that is entitled Social Security Card, License, and Passport. You'll see that it's populated certain fields within this process. There's the questionnaire. And if I submit that, it's now part of David's onboarding record. And if I look at his portal, here's the request. And this is what David would see. He has the ability to search, find the file, and upload it. I think that answered that question, Carol.
Yep, that perfectly did. Couple of things to add. You can also email the hire, and if they respond with that information attached, that will come into their profile in the system, or you can simply use add attachments. And Ellen, I'm hoping you can hop back to the hire tab and just show us real quick, yeah, how to add that attachment. So lots of different ways of doing the same thing.
Excellent. Thank you, Carol.
Okay. Next question, can you use onboarding for ongoing employee forms, such as annual health? I need to expand this question here. Bear with me. Annual health insurance enrollment.
ApplicantStack onboarding really is not meant for that. You can always create another stage. And again, these are the stages of my onboarding workflow. You can always create another stage for annual correspondence with your new hires if you want to. Maybe they're not new hires at that point in time. But it's really not designed for health enrollment or any sort of annual reminders. You could create fields for certifications if you want to, and input information as to when a new hire certification RN or CNA might be up, and then query onboarding. So you could use onboarding for some of those components, but it's really not designated as an HRIS system.
All right,
Anything to add on that, Carol?
No, I think you're right on track with that, and I would agree. Okay, next question. How do we know if our organization has templates or libraries already created?
Okay, let's backtrack and talk about the roles within ApplicantStack. So if you're a non-Homestead account, there are 3 roles in ApplicantStack. An administrative role, and that individual can see it all and do it all, see all new hires, all forms, all information in those forms. There's an ApplicantStack recruiter role who can do everything that an administrator can do except configure and make system-wide changes. And then there's a hiring manager role. And a hiring manager role in ApplicantStack onboarding has limited permissions. An administrator or recruiter can assign a task to a hiring manager, such as, order a workstation or a laptop or whatever the case might be. However, by default, hiring managers cannot see sensitive information in forms, such as social security numbers, date of birth, that sort of thing. So in onboarding, recruiters and administrators will have the library tab here. A hiring manager will not see the library tab. So if you're an ApplicantStack recruiter or administrator, you can click on the library tab and see everything that is housed in the library and create more library items. And again, only an account administrator can make system-wide changes such as adding a stage, adding hire fields, etc. So I hope I answered that question too.
Thank you, Ellen. Follow-up question from Tina. this was going back to having a task to upload IDs. Can that be part of the new hire checklist?
Absolutely. Good question. So if I move to the library tab, which is where checklists are housed, tasks can be part of the checklist. Definitely. And again, that creates that efficiency by assigning the checklist, which then in turn assigns all of the tasks and forms that make up the checklist. Great question.
Okay. Next question, Ellen. Is that part, I'm not sure exactly which part we're referring to, HIPAA compliant, where applicants can have confidence it is confidential? And I'm thinking that may be something we may need to take offline as a little bit more technical. We've got some resources about system security and so forth that we could send along.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's the best way to handle that question.
Excellent. We have very stringent security that includes encryption, all sorts of things. And again, we can send along a document.
Okay. Next question. Our employees drive on company time, and we are tracking driver's license expiration dates. What's the best way to handle that in this system?
Mm-hmm. So if I move to the Hires tab, you could create a field that says expiration date, driver's license expiration date. And you could query or search your database of hires every month if that's how frequently you need to review it. And if I move over to the gray menu on the right, second option down, it says search. So if you have a field that says driver's license expiration date, you can pair that up with a variety of other criteria to see whose driver's license are coming up. And then you have the ability to mass communicate with those individuals via email or text saying, hey, your license is coming up for expiration. Please, take the test, whatever you want that message to be.
Thank you. Next question. Can sending emails be automated over several days from microlearning? Are all the tasks manually triggered? There's a lot of seasonal hiring happening, so manually triggering all the stages by new hire would be just a little time consuming.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that piece by piece, and I hope I will
Yeah, yeah. So
answer all of that. Carol, I'm going to need your help on that. So if
that
you
was a bit all at once.
right
Part one. Can sending emails be automated over several days for micro learning?
for micro learning, so
I'm guessing it might be a link to some training, something of that sort.
yeah,
If there's any
so
clarification,
yeah,
feel free to put that.
okay. So high level, you can trigger um, emails as you move your hires through the stages of your onboarding workflow. So you could trigger an email when you move them to paperwork, orientation, etc. So you can include a link in an email if it's to some outside source. But that outside source has to be a public site such as Vimeo or YouTube. So you can include that link, request that your new hire click the link and view whatever material that is that you want them to do. So I think that was the answer to the first question, Carol.
Yeah, can they be automated? Maybe, do we have a way to set those? I believe you can only select one option at a time to send 2 days out, 3 days out, things of
Oh,
that nature.
reminders.
Reminder, yeah, I'm thinking that might be the best way. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to sequence it and set multiple communications to go out on set days. But we
Right.
do, I think, a couple options for sending out emails delaying by a day,
Oh, yeah.
things of that nature.
Um, Let me go to a candidate record. Nope, it's a new hire record. And I'm going to add a checklist here, although it could be done singularly again. Here's your email reminders. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but you do have the ability to, again, as Carol said, not necessarily sequence, but you do have the ability to email reminders to your new hires to complete things. The only way I can think of to sequence anything would be at a stage change. Carol, are you there?
Sorry, Ellen, I'm here. I was looking, I'm trying to find an answer for you. And I
Yeah.
lost my
I was like, Carol, you're my wingman. Where are you?
too many tabs, too many tabs. I'll keep looking at that, Ellen.
Okay.
And then are all the tasks manually triggered is the second part of that question.
Okay. So tasks can be included in a checklist that can be triggered. Um, Let me go to my setup and configure and workflow. I'm going to edit my default workflow here. And let's see, if I edit this workflow, this is where you can trigger information. So you can trigger emails, you can trigger checklists, a variety of user settings. And I was just trying to see what else can be triggered here. Looks like a task would have to be triggered in a checklist. Now, you can also manually, and I think the point of this is to be efficient and not have many manual processes. But no, you can add a task if it's a one-off situation when you're in the new hire record.
Ellen, I did take a quick peek, and I do see when you go to send an email in the system, it does allow you to delay by a matter of hours or days. Also, you can send reminders on those tasks. But unfortunately, there's not a true sequencing that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that helps.
And
And it
and
looks
what
like
it's showing
thank you.
now is that delay. Yeah.
Okay. Next. Okay. So clarification on that, meaning smaller emails with information instead of lumping all the things someone needs to know in one long email. So I think we kind of cobbled together an answer on that. But that
Great.
should take care of that question. Next question. We print out a new hire package. Is there a way to pull all of the forms together and print them all at once?
Okay. I was on a call just today and that question was asked. I'm going to go into Carter Roberts' record because he has completed some onboarding tasks. Um, and the tasks that he has completed include the North Carolina state tax form and the W-4. So this button says view all forms, which I'm going to click. And all completed forms would then come up. In this case, they're just two. But you can see this has been completed. And then you have the ability to save those forms or to print them out. Or you could save to a PDF. So that's how you would print out those forms if you need hard copy file.
Okay, thanks, Alan. We have a question over on the recruit side.
Okay.
I don't think we've hopped back over there. As far as job postings and salary information that's being populated in that posting, but it's not correct. So we're looking for a way to designate or show that information that comes from the employer directly.
Is that, I'm trying to interpret that question, Carol, help me please.
Yeah,
Is that to show salary information on, say, Indeed?
I'm guessing Indeed.
Yeah, okay. So, just as a little background, if any of you have seen your jobs launched to Indeed, you may see an estimated salary range. If it's estimated, that is what Indeed has included as part of your job posting. And they base that estimated salary on the job title and the geographic area. And that estimated range may or may not be accurate. So, best practices are that you should include salary information when you launch your job. That's for pay transparency. And again, your accurate salary data would then be posted. So, if I'm back in Recruit, and if I move to the Jobs tab, and I'm going to click on the Accounting Manager opportunity, um, actually, let me go back to the Jobs tab. You'll see that I have a salary range here. You can launch your salary information in a variety of ways to Indeed. But part of my job information is, again, salary. So give me a minute. I'm going to tie it all together. If I click on my picture, this is an administrative task. I'm going to click on Setup. And then Job Boards. I think I'm going the right way, Carol. And then I am going to move to my Indeed job board, which is active, and I'm going to edit my settings. And these are settings specifically for Indeed, but you'll now see when my job gets launched to Indeed, it's pulling that information that's in the salary range job field. And what that means is your accurate salary range, again, will be posted with your job. It overwrites what Indeed would estimate as your salary range. So again, you need to configure a salary field, and then you need to configure your Indeed settings to specify which field that is. The other thing that Indeed is now suggesting as best practices is to include a specific location when you launch your jobs. And we have just modified ApplicantStack so you can do that. If I click on the Accounting Manager opportunity, this is in my demo account. It's not going to work. So I'm backtracking here a little bit. But you'll notice in your accounts, you have the ability to include a street location now when launching a job. You can also edit jobs to include a street location. And Indeed, I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but there is a larger percentage of candidates who apply for your jobs when they know the salary range and when they know the specific job location. So again, we're working with Indeed to include that in ApplicantStack so you can get more candidates.
Okay, great, Ellen. I think we have one last question that we can fit in.
Okay.
Can we add a job board that is not listed?
Okay. So that's more than a yes, no answer. I'm going to go back to my picture. I'm going to click on Setup, move to the blue menu, and click on Job Boards. So these are the job boards that we integrate with, that you have the ability to launch your jobs from ApplicantStack. You can post them on your public job board. If you have an intranet, we can post on your intranet as well. Third-party job boards that we integrate with that are free of charge include Google for Jobs, Indeed's organic free feed, and LinkedIn limited postings. Moving back up to Job Target, they are a job board aggregator, so you can launch to over 25,000 job boards via Job Target. There are a few that are free job boards, and I must confess the majority of those job boards are paid job boards. You can launch your jobs to Career Builder, Dice, Monster, and ZipRecruiter. Those are all paid sites. We do offer the seamless integration, but you would still need to pay to post your job on those sites. But getting back, this might help you just a bit. I'm going to click on the Jobs tab. I'm going to click on the Accounting Manager opportunity. So to answer your question right now, we don't offer any integrations other than what we've just discussed. But if I click on the Launch tab associated with the job, you'll see, if I scroll down, what we call manual posting links. So a manual posting link is automatically created by ApplicantStack Recruit for each job. So if you want to post your jobs on a niche job board, maybe it's a technical college, a community college, an association, your Department of Labor, something like that, you can capture, cut and paste the job listing URL or your apply online URL and include that in your post. The job listing URL will review the job requirements, the job description. The apply online will bring you right, or the candidate, right into the application process. So again, you have the ability to cut and paste these links, include them in your job description on the site of interest. And the beauty of that is you can track if your candidates are coming in from that site, and you're managing all of your candidates regardless of where they come from, whether it's Indeed, your public job board, or a niche job board, all within ApplicantStack.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. I think that is all. We've answered all of the questions.
And okay, great, because I've got some closing remarks, and I know we're past the hour, top of the hour. I just want to highlight the announcement section. Please feel free to sign up for the Ask Me Anything hour on the 24th. We will be getting a link up there for the product webinar. And I just saw on Facebook that Allie from our marketing department has added a really good recent article. She writes all of our blogs, so feel free to access those links. You'll see a variety of blogs that she writes that I think are applicable for ApplicantStack, well, for applicant tracking and onboarding. So, having said that, if you have any questions, and I know we share a lot of information with you and functionality with you during these webinars. If you need further clarification, please go ahead and submit a ticket by clicking on the white question mark in the upper right-hand corner and then ask a question. It'll be routed to the appropriate person, whether or not that's your account manager or a technical support member, and you'll get an answer directly to your question. So feel free to do that. Please don't be shy. We talk about a lot, and we are more than happy to answer your questions. All right, any last minute questions, Carol?
Not that I'm seeing.
Okay, all right. Well, I thank you all for attending the webinar. I hope it was of benefit, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.